What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Eric Levin for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. Much respect to you for showing love to Too Raw for TV. And he had a question, and basically he asked me, in my opinion, was Scottie Pippen a top 5 or 10 overall player in the 1990s? Now, of course, Scottie Pippen played between, I think it's from 1987 through 2004. He's best known for his stint with the Chicago Bulls, which lasted from 1987 to 1998, although he did have another brief stint with them in 2003, 2004. I think he played like 20-some games in the 2003, 2004 season before he called it quits. He also played with the Houston Rockets in 1999 and Portland between 1999 and I think 2003, I believe it is. Scottie Pippen, of course, is, in my opinion, one of the top 2 defensive small forwards in the history of the game. Other one, John Havlicek. Probably should have won Defensive Player of the Year at some time in the 1990s, but he didn't. Perennial leader in steals. He was great as an on-ball defender. He was a great help defender. You know what I'm saying? He was great in the passing lanes. He was a great pressure defender. He was elite on that end of the floor. Offensively, he started off as a great athletic potential offensive player. His biggest knack early on in his career, he was more of a slashing guy. That's why, you know, if you look at the Bulls historically, Scottie was better in as far as being effective offensively when the offense was more free-flowing. That's why he always had some of his best games against the Western Conference. The Western Conference generally had coaches who were more inclined to play like the 80s. He had a lot of hangovers from the 70s and 80s as far as coaches are concerned, which was more of a free-flowing type of offense. So when the Bulls played against them, that's when Scottie typically had more of his higher scoring games, 25, 30 points. His career high came against the Nuggets in 1997. Example with the team I'm talking about, 47 points. When he played against Eastern Conference teams, when the game began to slow down to a grind, and when the lanes were kind of clogged up and he had to rely more on his jump shot, that's when Scottie began to struggle more. Now, he did get better with his shooting. I thought Scottie took way too many threes by the mid-90s onward. He's one of the first guys to take an abundance of threes. His shot selection could be a little iffy at times, but that was never his strong shooting. He was a mediocre free throw shooter, in my opinion, about 67% for his career. He was about, for the era he played in, an average three-point shooter. But he could have times when he got hot from outside. Dangerous in the dangerous in the full court situation. Elite defender, good rebounder, great offensive rebounder for his position. Very good, almost elite facilitator. Not quite the level of Stockton and Magic and all that, but he could pass and facilitate to a high extent. Not a great leader, with a great basketball talent. 6 NBA championships, multiple All-Star selections, multiple All-Defensive First Team selections. I don't think he's a top 5 player for the 90s, in my opinion. When I think the top 5 players in the 1990s, I tend to think of Michael Jordan, obviously, then Akeem Olajuwon. I would say Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, and David Robinson are probably my top 5 players from the 1990s. And then once you go past that, then you have to talk about, Patrick Ewing, that'd be 6. Shaq, 7th, because Shaq didn't play the first couple of years of the 90s. Shaq 7th. And then I think you could make a case for Pippen at 8. Although, some people might say, well, wait a minute. Drexler didn't win any championships with Portland, but he did win one with the Rockets, and he did lead 2 teams to a finals in 90 and 92. So, you got Drexler there too. So was Pippen more dominant than Drexler in the 90s? You kind of can say maybe because of the injury to Drexler, but I would say just for the sake of argument, yeah, you could say Pippen was a top 10 player in the 90s, largely off the strength of playing, in my opinion, playing with Michael Jordan. The 6 championships, elite defender, all the things I mentioned. The All-Star Game MVP in 1994, I believe it was. When you put all those things together, yeah, I would say he's a top 10 player of the 90s, not top 5. But anyway, that's just my opinion on that one. Tell me what you guys think.